The 52nd floor of the State Street Financial Center held a silence that felt heavier than the investment reports on Melanie Wilson's desk. Beyond the glass, the Boston skyline bled into twilight, a city of brick and ambition she navigated with calculated grace. Her gaze lingered on the final unread email, a world of numbers more predictable than the one waiting on her phone. It buzzed, a third time today. Ashley. Sis, you have to see this dress. It's pure magic for the feed. I'm working. Ash, please? My engagement is climbing. I need this. The plea was a familiar tune, bright and relentless. Melanie closed her eyes, the phantom numbers of her personal ledger scrolling behind her lids, her parents' mortgage, Ashley's latest startup, the subsidized lives orbiting her salary. What's the damage? Only $3,000, a steal, right? It was never about the dress. It was about the transaction. Melanie recited her credit card details into the void, her voice flat, the connection severed, leaving behind the sterile hum of the office and the ghost of a younger self who still believed generosity could be a bridge, not a bottomless chasm. Sunday dinners at her parents' house were a ritual of soft light and quieter truths. Ashley spun in the new dress before the mantelpiece, 500 likes in an hour. Look at our girl. Their mother, Carol, beamed, her pride a tangible warmth in the room. Such an eye for the beautiful. A real talent. Robert, their father, agreed, raising his wine glass. His eyes met Melanie's briefly, then skated away, toward his vivacious, photogenic younger daughter. The conversation flowed around Melanie, Ashley's travel ideas, influencer strategies, until her mother's question pierced the bubble. And the wedding, dear? How are the plans with James? Melanie's posture straightened. The Fairmont Copley Plaza is booked. Oh, Carol clapped, delighted. So grand. A Morrison sort of choice, Robert mused, swirling his Cabernet. That medical equipment fortune. Dad, Melanie interjected, her voice low but firm. We love the place, that's all. But these things matter. Melanie, positioning. Hey, Ashley cut in. A flash of insight, or perhaps just a desire for content, crossing her face. Can I live stream the ceremony? The aesthetic would be incredible. Melanie set her fork down. Outside, a spring breeze sent cherry blossom petals skittering past the window. I'll think about it. Later, at the door, her mother pulled her into a crushing hug. You're my good girl, she whispered, voice thick. Our rock, always putting family first. Melanie simply nodded, the words settling on her shoulders like a familiar, heavy cloak. In her car, she watched the warm glow of the house recede in the rearview mirror. For 10 years, that light had been her compass. The reflection staring back was the woman who had fueled it. Sunrise on her wedding day poured into the Fairmont suite, gilding the delicate lace of her Vera Wang gown. She was a vision of poised elegance, a stark contrast to the quiet tremor in her hands. Stunning, the makeup artist breathed. The Morrisons will be thrilled, the designer agreed, fussing with the cathedral train. A soft knock preceded Elizabeth Morrison's entrance. James's mother stopped short, her hand flying to her chest. Oh, Melanie, she whispered, tears glistening. You are a dream. In her hands lay a velvet box. Inside, nestled on satin, was the Morrison pearl necklace, an heirloom passed from mother to bride for generations. With this, Elizabeth said, fastening the cool gems at Melanie's throat, you become part of our family, officially, and in our hearts. The pearls felt like an anchor, a promise. Then, her phone vibrated. 9 a.m. Her family should have been here, buzzing with last-minute chaos. No sign of them? Elizabeth asked, her glance toward the window growing anxious. 30 minutes bled into an hour. The serene atmosphere tightened. Perhaps give them a call. Dear, Elizabeth suggested gently. Melanie dialed. The ringtone stretched into an endless, hollow tone. Then, a connection, filled with the distant, rhythmic crash of waves and laughter. Hello, Mom? Melanie? Oh, sweetheart, is that today? Her mother's voice was breezy, distant. We're in Hawaii. Ashley found this marvelous last-minute deal to the breakers. It's paradise. A sound, like fine crystal breaking, echoed only in Melanie's mind. Sis, Ashley's shout carried over the line. Thanks for the miles. This trip is going to be epic. I'll tag you in all the stories. The air in the bridal suite crystallized. Elizabeth's sharp inhale was the only sound. The attendant slipped away, leaving a silence so profound it roared in Melanie's ears. "I see," Melanie said, her voice unnervingly calm. "A flat lake over a deep fracture. Enjoy your vacation." She ended the call. The world did not end. The sun still shone. The pearls at her neck were cold. Elizabeth's hand found her shoulder, a gesture of solidarity that almost broke her. "My dear girl." James entered then, tradition be damned, and wrapped her in an embrace that felt like the only solid thing left. "I heard," he murmured into her hair. "Whatever you want to do, we do it together." Melanie looked at her reflection once more, the radiant bride, the gleaming heirloom, the eyes that had finally, decisively, dried. She drew a breath that filled her lungs with resolve. "Let's begin," she said. 300 guests are waiting. The grand ballroom. Under the soft glow of chandeliers and the scent of Casablanca lilies, William Morrison offered his arm. "May I have the honor?" he asked, his voice tight with an anger not meant for her. She took it. To the solemn strains of Mendelssohn, she walked. She did not look back. She exchanged vows with James in a clear, steady voice. She accepted the ring. When pronounced wife, she smiled, a real, if tremulous, smile, into the eyes of her husband. Her new family arrayed behind him with unwavering support. At the reception, Elizabeth's toast rang out, clear and defiant. "Today, we choose a new daughter. Melanie, your strength and dignity humble us. You are, and always will be, a Morrison." Later, in their Back Bay condo, Melanie stared at her phone, a screen lit by over 50 missed calls. The sunset over the Charles River painted the room in fire. "You don't have to look," James said, offering a glass of wine. "Why the miles?" she whispered to the skyline. "Why would they use my miles?" "It was the right choice," James said softly. "But this, my love, is only the beginning." The unraveling was swift and merciless, a lesson in cause and effect. The polite but firm removal from a prestigious charity board, the quiet, systematic dissolution of real estate deals with her father's firm, a small, damning article in the Globe's society pages, and finally, the credit card company's forensic report, arriving like a verdict: fraudulent mileage acquisition. Approximately 5 million miles over the past 2 years. Ashley's scheming with brokers, meticulously documented, her parents' silent complicity evident in the paper trail. Melanie held the pages, the weight of her own willful blindness crushing. "How did I not see?" "You loved them," Elizabeth said, her hand gentle. "That is not a flaw." But the consequences had their own momentum. Her father's company faltered. Social media turned on Ashley, her follower count bleeding out, sponsors fleeing. The narrative of the abandoned bride had solidified, and Boston's high society, with the Morrisons at its heart, delivered its verdict. "They authored this," William stated, his fury cold and precise, every word of it. Yet, the final, breathtaking blow came not from society, but from the law. A formal notice arrived, citing the mileage fraud. It was followed by a call from a family lawyer, his tone grave. Criminal charges were being considered. The vacation in paradise was over. The real price was now due. In her quiet office, Melanie set the documents aside. She looked out at the city, no longer just a skyline, but the architecture of her new life. She touched the pearls at her throat, no longer just an heirloom, but a testament to a choice she had made at the altar. To be cherished, not used. To be a part of a family, not its foundation. The past was a country she had finally, irrevocably, left behind. The future, for all its painful birth, was hers. The call came on a Saturday morning, the kind of blue-sky Boston day that promised peace. "Ms. Wilson, this is the Breakers Resort in Hawaii. There's been an accident." Melanie's world tilted. Her parents' rental car had veered off a coastal road. They were in intensive care. "Their medical insurance, it appears to have been terminated. Coverage is unavailable." The words were delivered with clinical detachment. Melanie understood. It was the Morrison family's final, unspoken lesson in consequences, delivered not with a shout, but with administrative silence. A wall had been erected, and her family was on the other side. "What do I do?" she whispered, the solid floor of her new life feeling suddenly frail. "We will stand with you," Elizabeth said, taking her hand. Her grip was firm, her eyes compassionate but unwavering. For you, not for them. The ICU in Hawaii smelled of antiseptic and hushed crisis, a world away from the lilied scent of her wedding ballroom. The injuries are severe, particularly your father's cranial trauma, the attending physician explained, his voice low. Surgery is imperative. The cost, without insurance? Tell me, Melanie said, her voice a flat line. Approximately $800,000, up front. James stiffened beside her. Outside the window, the Pacific waves continued their beautiful, indifferent roll. I'll pay it. Melanie, James's protest was instinctive, protective. This is my choice. Her gaze was fixed on the closed door behind which her parents lay, small and broken amidst the machines. Ashley was a crumpled form in a plastic corridor chair, her sobs the only sound she'd made since Melanie arrived. The financial unraveling was swift and public. Wilson Real Estate announces fire sale of all assets blared across Boston business feeds. Melanie wired her severance, drained her savings, sold the Back Bay condo James had gifted her, liquidated every stock. The numbers spun, but never closed the gap. What do I do? She asked again, this time to the empty, beeping corridor, her fortress of composure cracking. An alarm shrilled from her father's room. Code blue. A storm of scrubs and equipment. Time elongated, each second a hammer on her heart. Later, the doctor emerged. Weary, he's stabilized. For now. To continue? That evening, in the book-lined study of the Morrison mansion, a different kind of surgery was proposed. Melanie, William began, steepling his fingers. What they did was a profound betrayal. This accident is a tragedy, but it does not erase that. You are not obligated to set yourself on fire to keep them warm. They are still my parents. And they conspired to steal from you, Elizabeth said, her voice gentle but inexorable. The price of forgiveness cannot be your entire future. Enough sacrifices, my dear. Let this be their consequence to bear. Her phone chimed, a cold, digital counterpoint, a notification from the Boston District Attorney. Criminal indictments had been filed for fraudulent mileage acquisition. The names listed, Ashley Wilson, Robert Wilson, Carol Wilson. It was all there. The conspiracy, detailed in stark legalese. The next morning's Boston Globe was merciless. Socialite family indicted in mileage scheme. Ties to Morrison family severed. The social death was instantaneous. Prayer lists were amended. Contracts evaporated. Ashley's Instagram empire collapsed overnight. A desertion of followers so complete it was its own void. No one likes me anymore. Ashley wept in the hospital hallway, her currency of validation worthless. In Boston, her father's offices sat empty, a monument to vanished credit. Weakly, from her hospital bed, her mother's voice was a thin thread of despair. We're ruined, aren't we, Melanie? Her father, his voice raspy from the tube, whispered plans of exile. We can't go back. We'll have to start over somewhere, anonymous. Melanie listened, watching the relentless Hawaiian sun. It illuminated no answers, only the stark contours of a burned bridge. Melanie, James said softly, his hand warm on her shoulder. It's time to come home, to our life. 3 months later, autumn gilded the Boston skyline. From her new office at Boston Children's Hospital, Melanie looked out at a city that was once a proving ground, now a foundation. Melanie, the board is ready, Elizabeth said from the doorway. The new pediatric family care center project was her purpose now, her financial acumen channeled into healing. As she walked to the conference room, a framed newspaper on the wall caught her eye. Influencer sentenced in fraud case. Parents receive probation. A small photo showed Ashley, shrouded in sunglasses, a ghost of her former spectacle. That chapter is closed, Elizabeth murmured, following her gaze. The board meeting was a symphony of purpose, donor lists, architectural plans, a vision for sheltering fragile lives. William, chairing, spoke of legacy and compassion. Melanie's secret smile was for the private truth. The Morrison influence, once a distant fortress, was now the wind at her back. At home that evening, a letter waited. The postmark, Phoenix, Arizona. My dear Melanie, I write this not for forgiveness, which we do not deserve, but for the record of my remorse. We betrayed you on a day that should have been sacred. We traded your trust for a vacation. And the debt we owe is eternal. Phoenix is dry and quiet. Your father is a clerk. I work in a library. We have become small people, which is perhaps what we always were beneath the pretense. Ashley is in a correctional program. She is learning, we hope, to live without a lens between herself and the world. We hear, through the distant grapevine, that you are magnificent, that you have built a life of substance and love. This is our only solace. This will be my last intrusion. We will not contact you again. Goodbye, my daughter. I am so sorry. Love. Mom. A single tear traced a path down Melanie's cheek, not for the loss, but for the final, quiet closure it represented. You didn't have to read it, James said, his arms encircling her from behind. I did, she said, leaning into him. Now I can truly let it go. Dinner at the Morrison mansion was a celebration of futures, not pasts. Elizabeth's heirloom china gleamed. William poured the wine. To the family care center, he toasted. And to our family, Elizabeth added, her eyes on Melanie. Melanie's fingers rose to the pearls at her throat, the heirloom, the anchor, the symbol of a chosen lineage. Their weight was no longer a reminder of acceptance earned, but of belonging bestowed. The next morning, running along the Charles with James, their breath fogging in the autumn air, new dreams took shape between strides. I've been thinking, James said, about a residence attached to the center, a home for families who have to travel for their child's care. A real home, Melanie said, her heart swelling. It's perfect. As the rising sun turned the river to molten gold, they ran on, stride for stride. That afternoon, at the hospital, Melanie sat beside a small girl facing a daunting surgery. The child's hand was tiny and cold in hers. I'm scared, the girl whispered. It's okay to be scared, Melanie said, her voice a gentle harbor. But look around. Your family is here. They'll be right here with you. They promise? True family, Melanie said, smiling a smile that held both memory and hard-won wisdom, always keeps its promises. Outside the window, a brilliant autumn leaf, released from its branch, danced on the wind before settling softly to the earth. It was not an end, but a gentle return, the beginning of a different, quieter story.